Hi friends! So we're getting ready to read chapter 7 of Frank Einstein and the Antimatter Motor, which is on page 61. And before we get to it, let's talk a little bit about chapter 6 and what we learned in that chapter. So we see that Watson gets to meet Clink and Clank for the first time, and they're discussing. Watson's really concerned that the robots are going to try and do something terrible to humans, but Frank has explained to them that's not going to happen because they know the laws, the 3 laws of robotics, which is law 1, a robot cannot injure a human or let a human be injured by not helping. Law 2 is a robot must obey orders from humans. And law 3, a robot must protect its own life. So they're not going to hurt a human. They have to obey orders from humans, and it'll protect itself. So Frank is convinced Watson that we don't have to worry about the robots. We're safe with the robots. In the meantime, here's a cuckoo clock that instead of saying cuckoo, cuckoo, it says warning, warning. So that's interesting. Why would a cuckoo clock say warning? And that's what we're going to find out when we look at chapter 7. We're going to read that on page 61. So get your fingers ready, put it on the big K, and let's begin. Clink rolls up next to a bent bicycle, an old radiator, and a rusted riding mower. He crooks his vacuum hose arm over his head and freezes, now disguised as a broken shop vac. Hide, says Clank. What is hide? Pretend you are some kind of broken machine, answers Clink without moving. Clank stomps over to the garage wall. He karate chops a 50-gallon drum in half and crams one of the halves over his head. He sits down next to a busted washing machine. Frank and Watson stop at the back doorway of the shop. What are you doing? Frank asks. I am a clothes dryer, says Clank, his voice echoing inside the drum. Watson checks out what looks pretty much like a robot with a 50-gallon drum on its head. Nice try. Warning, 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 calls the cuckoo one last time. It disappears back into its carved wooden house, and the little wooden doors flap shut. Frank and Watson hustle into Grandpa Al's fix-it shop. Hello, Frank calls into the dimly lit shop. Can I help you? Nobody answers. Frank and Watson scan the shelves and aisles. The rows of old clocks and cameras and saxophones and typewriters and space heaters and tape recorders all seem to move on their own under the swaying repair shop light. But no one is there. Frank silently motions to Watson to check the front door. Frank crouches and sneaks behind the counter. Nothing. Watson looks out the storefront window. The sidewalks of downtown Midville are nearly empty, like they always are now, ever since someone started buying up buildings and kicking out businesses. Watson scans the street for every detail, as he knows Einstein would. He sees an old man in a long black coat waiting at the bus stop, a blonde woman with a stylish fur hunting cap walking a small long-haired dog, an empty blue plastic bottle in the gutter. Nothing suspicious. All clear, Watson calls to Frank. Then, yikes, as he turns to Frank standing right next to him. I hate when you do that. Nothing? Nothing, says Watson. Must be something weird with your motion detector. Nobody in here. Frank scans the clutter of ancient televisions and radios and record players that Grandpa Al collects like old friends. He spots one detail that is out of place. A pair of size 5 wing-tip shoes just visible under the old phonograph. My motion detector is fine, says Frank, because the person who triggered it is right behind that gramophone. Come on out, Edison. A kid with a scowly look and hair plastered down over his forehead steps from behind the phonograph's big metal horn. T. Edison, says Watson. What are you doing sneaking into Grandpa Al's shop? Calm down, Inspector Gadget, says Edison. I was in the neighborhood. The sign said open, and I just stopped by to, get my watch fixed. Yeah, that's it, my watch. Oh, says Watson. I also wanted to wish you Brainiacs good luck in the competition tomorrow. What have you got? No, wait, let me guess. A baking soda model of a volcano? Huh, says Watson. That's a terrible guess. A car powered by cow farts? You wish. You think you're so smart. I know I'm so smart, says Edison. I am a genius. You won't think you're such a genius, Watson fumes. When you see Frank Einstein super smart, Frank quickly covers Watson's mouth to stop him from blurting out the next word. What are you really doing here, Edison? asks Frank. You don't even wear a watch. Oh, yeah? If you really want to know, Mr. Smart Guy, I came by to look at my new fix-it shop. The one my family's company is going to take over when you don't win the science prize and your grandpa Al can't pay his bills and, according to our agreement, loses all this to me. You're so full of it, says Watson. I know you are, but what am I, says Edison. Frank looks around Grandpa Al's shop, his favorite place. That's not going to happen. Grandpa Al would never let that happen. Oh, no, says Edison. You might be interested in a meeting with my chief financial officer to see what he has to say about that. Edison looks up into the shadows of the top shelves of forgotten machinery and junked appliances and calls, Mr. Chimp! There's a rattling noise, a creak of metal shelving above. A small, dark figure drops into the light and lands next to Edison with a splash of naked feet on bare floor. It's Chief Financial Officer Mr. Chimp, who is, in fact, an actual chimp, wearing pinstriped gray dress pants, a white shirt, and a black and gold diagonally striped tie, and no shoes. Show him the document, says Edison. Mr. Chimp hands Frank a thick piece of paper covered in official Midville seals and stamps. Frank reads over the deed, sees his Grandpa Al's signature scrawled at the bottom, and knows with a sinking feeling that Edison is telling the truth. Mr. Chimp takes the deed back and signs with his hands. P-E-A-C-E-O-U-T. Don't do that, Edison says to Mr. Chimp. I am the boss. I say when we are leaving. If anyone says peace out, it should be me. Watson stares at Mr. Chimp. Did he just spell peace out in sign language? Don't encourage him, says Edison. He just learned hand signs for letters from a book that was near his cage in the lab, and now he thinks he's a big deal. Mr. Chimp signs. I am. Edison frowns. You should be signing how glad you are that I rescued you from that product testing lab and how lucky you are that I let you use my computers for your accounting software. Mr. Chimp leans casually against an old radio. He pulls a small metal box from his pants pocket, takes out a slender stick, and pushes it into a hole on top of the box. Now Watson is really staring. Mr. Chimp pulls out the stick, completely covered in crawling ants. Mr. Chimp slurps his ant snack off the stick stool, smacking his lips loudly. He carefully slides his ant box back into his pocket and signs, So glad. So glad is right, banana breath, says Edison. Now let's get out of here. Mr. Chimp gives Edison a look that is impossible to read. It could be glad. It could be sad. It could be planning murder. Or a big payday. Nobody knows but Mr. Chimp. And he's not talking. Or signing. Right, says Edison. Then he suddenly, awkwardly, insistently pats Watson on the back. Twice. Okay, peace out. Morning, 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 alarms the door cuckoo as Edison and Mr. Chimp open the front door. What a jerk, says Watson, watching the boy and the chimp climb into a long black limousine that pulls away from the curb and motors off. Absolutely, says Frank, but a dangerously smart jerk. So it's a good thing he didn't see Clink and Clank. No kidding, says Watson, and that is one creepy monkey. Ape, corrects Frank. But there is no arguing the creepy part.